Hello there. 40 years ago, William Friedkin directed what I think definitely stands as one of the scariest, creepiest films ever made, and what I consider to be the pinnacle of horror films, The Exorcist. To me, it's a film that perfectly combines the horrors that might lurk in our society with strong character development and an excellent directorial vision. However, to really get into why The Exorcist is such a classic, it's important to note that the inspiration for William Peter Blatty's book and subsequent screenplay came from reports of priests who performed an apparent real-life exorcism. Reading up on the event which Blatty based the story on, it's interesting to think about whether that teenage boy in 1940s Maryland was actually possessed, or whether it's purely fictional. Whether you believe in possession or not, and I'm frankly undecided on that, it was fascinating to research it for this episode. While the gender of the possessed teen was changed to a young girl named Reagan, a number of the incidents described by the priests and other witnesses were used in The Exorcist, including words mysteriously appearing on her skin, a voice becoming more deeper and groggy, and furniture moving by itself. Assuming these incidents actually did happen, that makes the film that much scarier and frightening, as a possibility the devil could possess us sits in one's mind. What especially adds to the spookiness of The Exorcist is the pacing and editing. The story is told in such a way that Friedkin is careful to show the possession piece by piece, rather than in one fell swoop. The scene in the doctor's office is a good example of this, as the sequence starts with Reagan calm and collected, and then slowly but surely she gets more violent and profane, and starts exhibiting odd behavior. But most importantly, we actually get to know Reagan before all these devilish things happen, so we have a rooting interest in her eventually getting entirely exorcised. I also have to give credit to Dick Smith's fantastic makeup work, as he applies layer upon layer onto Reagan until her whole face was completely different from the young girl we saw in the beginning of the film. It makes it all the more believable that she has been possessed. Linda Blair also shares both the acclaim for aiding in the transformation. She gave a fantastic performance as Reagan, showing both her good side and the evil side completely possessed by the demon Pazuzu. Finally, there's Mercedes McCambridge, who provides the devil's creepy voice and adds the final creepy touch to an already fantastic and iconic horror creation. Incidentally, the scenes were originally filmed with Linda Blair's natural voice, and I personally feel that the decision to bring in McCambridge in post-production was a smart decision. It just would not have had the same feeling of her possessed with a girl's 12-year-old voice. Though I think the intention was always for there to be a deeper voice from the beginning. The development of Reagan's mother, Chris, is also important, as she basically has to live with her daughter's slow rise to demonic possession through the entire film. The scenes early on showcase the mother-daughter relationship and why it is believable that she'll be quick to agree that she might be possessed. Ellen Burstyn did a fantastic job at making Chris MacNeil sympathetic and displaying the necessary shock and horror at what is happening to Reagan. Meanwhile, Father Karras is himself at odds about whether Reagan is actually possessed or not, and whether she was involved in a murder that potentially happened in the house. This results in part of The Exorcist being a detective story, as Karras tries to piece the puzzles together, albeit one where we know from the get-go who is responsible for the murder, and even when the characters are in doubt, we know Reagan is definitely possessed by the devil. The atmosphere Friedkin presents is also pivotal to the success of The Exorcist. The opening scene during archaeological dig may seem unnecessary, but it's actually important in setting up that something wrong is afoot, and that the devil himself is planning something mischievous. Friedkin also inserts random quick shots throughout the film to up the spookiness of what happens on screen, and I think it certainly proves to be very effective. The special effects are also tremendously well executed, using a combination of puppets and hidden secrets to pull the tricks of Reagan vomiting on Father Karras, her head spinning, and the bed shaking on its lonesome. However, I think the best and most exceptionally directed scene in The Exorcist is the actual exorcism itself. William Friedkin actually had the actors on a frozen set to get the right atmosphere, and boy does he succeed at making it, excuse the pun, chilling. The whole sequence produces the necessary thrills as we see Karras and Father Merrin perform the ritual. The whole film has basically been building up to this moment, as the two priests ultimately tested to the brink. In conclusion, what else can I say about a horror film so frequently and understandably cited as the scariest film of all time? Through the power of careful direction intelligent writing, well-developed characters, and the perfect moody atmosphere, The Exorcist is a film I certainly highly recommend. Not only for this time of year, but the other 11 months as well. See you next time.